Alright, what's up guys? So I just wanted to post a little post here and just kind of explain what's kind of been going on with the channel, I guess. You may or may not know that we basically said we moved halfway around the world, but we changed up our location. Currently in South America. We're living in Paraguay now. And just been, it hasn't been a shit show. I just kind of have been stuck in idle mode. I don't have my tools. I don't really have a good place to work. So I haven't really had much content to bring you guys, unfortunately. In my view, I've been doing a little bit of work on the Hilux, but a lot of it's just kind of like, just real basic. Just kind of real basic, stupid stuff, or stuff that I didn't really feel like was necessary to video, or, you know, like, as many content creators know, not that I'm really a content creator, but you just kind of get burnt out and you just want to like do your thing and not be videotaping it. I mean, I can tell you, I've started off making several videos, whether it be here or back in the States, where I, you know, got into a project 20, 30, 40% into a project, and then things kind of just started going sideways and I just no longer had the patience for the camera. So there's just footage out there that just kind of never gets done. So that's what's going on there. But basically we have turned the corner at this point. We have gotten a property. I have a proper place to work, and the rest of my tools and things should be showing up by November. So it's like, we're in September now, mid-September. So hopefully by the end of November I'll have the rest of my tools and kind of can start getting back into more of a full swing type of thing. Because there's definitely plenty of broken Toyotas to be working on down here, getting them redialed back in from decades of just getting pounded on these roads and not properly maintained and things like that. So basically moving forward, what I'm going to be doing here is sticking with the Toyota stuff, the mechanic stuff, showing you guys some new vehicles that obviously we'd never got in the North American market and the USA domestic market. So I think primarily what's going to go on is I'll just be doing like repairs and mods, keeping this thing going. I would like to get the opportunity to be able to kind of start, I don't want to say really like growing this collection, but I think there's an opportunity for me to take some of these vehicles and send them back to the States. Obviously with the Hilux here, this country, this area also has got diesel and 5-speed Land Cruisers, whether it be 60, 70, 80 series, 100 series. So that's kind of where I'm going to be. I think primarily the Hilux and the, what they call the Land Cruiser 2 here, the 70 series Prado stuff. And there are some 70 series here. They're, you know, they are pretty rare here too, unfortunately, but they are available, and if we get an opportunity to get in some of those, I'll show those to you guys as well. Okay, I mean, that being said, I just kind of wanted to give a little update of what's actually been going on. I know I've been kind of like slow rolling everybody, but reality is I just haven't had any really haven't had anything to make, and I don't really, I'm just not really going to force it. I'm just not going to make filler material and things like that. I don't think that's appropriate. YouTube's not paying me yet, so there's no reason for me to be making unnecessary footage to keep my numbers up. But that being said, please like and subscribe, because it would be hell of nice to get paid by YouTube. And if you like these videos, you find them useful, please share them. Really kind of the whole point of this video, and I'll get into this a little bit later, is I just want to be able to share this information with people that I know it's not out there, and I know that everybody kind of takes information differently. Different explanations help different people, and so on and so forth. So I'm just trying to be another voice out here talking about these rigs, trying to keep them on the road, helping you keep yours on the road. And that's kind of like the gist of what I'm doing, basically. Like when I first started when I first started getting into mechanicking, it was just very basic stuff that I was forced to do. I couldn't really afford to have a mechanic, I guess. Everybody kind of knows how that was. Like back in the day, the first job I worked it was a full-time job, so I was doing like 40 or 40 plus hours a week, and I was making like $300 for every other week. And when that first went on, like I was in my first car, my first job, so it was like $100 of that check went to my mechanic. $100 of it went to like paying my insurance or my car payment, depending on which paycheck it was. So I had like $100 to live on for a couple weeks. And you know, this was like in 1994, 1995, so $100 went a hell of a lot further than it does now. But at the same time, I was just always fucking broke, always with a broken car, and it just turned into where I couldn't really justify it to afford to pay a guy. At the time, they were charging me like $80-ish, $85 an hour, and I can't justify paying that kind of money for an I don't know, or just comebacks and dealing with that kind of bullshit. So it just kind of got into a point where I felt like, you know, like these cars, there's really nothing about mechanicking until you start getting into computers and like heavy duty wiring that's really that complicated, okay? Mostly just nuts and bolts, mostly just understanding the principles and the theories of how things work will get you to where you need to go, okay? So basically what it turned into with me was I'm just not comfortable paying someone for an I don't know. So I started getting more serious about working on cars. Anyway, the first big real project that I did, and what kind of like part of the reason I've been in Toyota for so long is the first project that I did was we had a 79 Toyota pickup that had been converted to a fucking shitty Buick Oddfire V6 and turbo hydro 350, and it was just an absolute dog, you know, but it was just kind of like the work truck for the family. So it was like my old man, my brother, and I both just beat the shit out of that truck, and it finally came to a stop when my brother had broken the bell housing in the transmission. So at the time, I was doing some work, I needed a truck, I started kind of like building this truck, and I was going to do just swap a new tranny, and it should be a big deal. Well, as it turns out, and you didn't know, I'm sure people who are into like GM shit know that GM and Chevrolet have different bell housings than Buick and Pontiac and Oldsmobile and shit. So what had happened was, there was a shit show of parts, some other stuff went on, and I ended up falling into a 1986 4Runner that had been crashed and rolled, and I basically got that truck for the drivetrain and stuff out of it I needed for free. So I was like, wild hair, I'm going to do a 22 RE swap in this truck. And so my first like real major project, these two trucks, I tore them down, and in 2 months I 22 RE swapped the 79. During that time, we had a good friend who was a mechanic, I had a neighbor down the street who was a mechanic. They would stop by periodically, like, dude, what are you doing? And both of them were like, there's no way I would touch that. I took the truck to mechanics because, you know, at the time I was still a little bit green, so there was some other stuff that I was kind of messing with, and when I would show up with this truck, people were like, no. So kind of when you get to that point, you're left with no choice but to just write all that off and just go down your own road. And that's essentially what happened, you know. Like I have to give a bunch of credit to like the bulletin boards back in the day. Like I started kind of like an offroad.com bulletin board, Pirate 4x4, that was huge. So I, you know, along with my experience, a lot of kind of my knowledge, especially to Pirate, that was really kind of like the place to be in the late 90s and the 2000s and things, before Facebook came out and ruined everything. So yeah, like that being said, come on to switch gear. So anyway, you know, you just kind of like have to fight this fire with fire. So that's where I am. That's why I became a mechanic. My customer service skills are absolutely non-existent, so that kind of like just leaves me in the garage where I don't have to deal with those people very often. And so here we are like 30 years later. I've just been doing this. I've just kind of, you know, obviously fell in love with Toyotas because they're just such a great vehicle. They're just really overbuilt for what they are, especially like the mini trucks, and they've just been hell of reliable, man. You know, like I've been in a Toyota for since that truck I built in '97. So almost 30 years I've had a mini truck or a 4Runner of some kind. That's kind of where I've been at. So, all right, guys. So I don't know if you're really aware of, other than my YouTube channel, I actually offer a website, and I've started offering a new service, which I guess we can consider like a consulting service. Basically, what I want to be able to do is offer you guys an opportunity to actually talk to someone who knows these trucks, knows what they're doing, and can help you with your projects. Okay. I've noticed online, through, like, I went years and years without like a Instagram or Facebook, no social media stuff. I only really started doing social media trying to like grow my channel and grow this project of what we're doing. Okay, so, and honestly, up until like a few months ago, I didn't have Facebook at all. I was just kind of like doing Instagram. And in Instagram, you see a little bit of this and that. It's kind of not, you can see some help and some things going on there, but it's not really the place for it necessarily. So that being said, I recently logged on to Facebook because where I'm out here, everyone just uses Facebook Marketplace. That's the only reason I wanted it, so I can communicate with people around here. So it's Facebook Marketplace and WhatsApp are like the two big things. So that being said, once I got onto Facebook and started looking at some of these other pages and things like that, I just realized that there is just an obscene amount of just garbage advice on there. Okay, guys, I'm just going to be straight up and come out and say it. There's tons of people spouting bullshit that they don't know anything about on there, and that kind of just pushed me over the edge to decide to offer this service to people who are serious about repairing, restoring, modifying these vehicles. It gives you an opportunity to get kind of like a one-on-one shot with someone who actually knows what they're talking about, instead of having to sift through hundreds of bad replies, or replies from people who didn't actually read your question, and especially replies from people who don't know what they're talking about at all. And the best part about all those replies about people who don't know what they're talking about is they will argue to the death about shit they don't know anything about. So that being said, if you're tired of that garbage, I'm now offering a like coaching and consulting service. Obviously, you know, it's a charge service. I'm going to straight up tell you that, because I know how it is in the States, especially. Like, you're not going to find a mechanic really to work on these cars. And when you're paying a mechanic $125, $200 an hour, you expect real results. So with that said, my price is much lower than that. You go on the website, www.snaleracing.com, SNALE, snaleracing.com, and that gives you opportunities to get some one-on-one coaching. Because there's, you know, the reality is there's things that sometimes just need a different angle, need to be looked at a different angle. Like I said, sometimes different people's advice hits different people differently, and you know, like, I may not be for everybody. I know that my personality can be brash. I'm not like super exciting. That's never been my, like, I'm not like the happy-go-lucky guy either. But what I can do is offer you sound advice and helping you getting your old vehicle back on the road, getting your old vehicle modified, helping you understand why parts work together the way that they do, why parts won't work together the way that they do, which aftermarket brands are better than some of the other ones, why you should steer clear of some brands, period, and just things like that. So if you think that I can be helpful to you, I'd be more than happy to help you with your project. And just to be clear about kind of what I do and what I'm offering. Primarily my service is going to be like, I'm kind of like a electronic and troubleshooting diagnostic tech. That's kind of like where I hang my hat. So I'm really solid at doing wiring diagnostic, drivability troubleshooting, and things like that. So we're going to start there. Obviously, we can go into all the other stuff. I was at one point, I let my certs expire, but I'm a ASC Master Tech certified. I'm an advanced level L1 diagnostic tech certified. I've got like probably 10 plus years in the actual field, so not only do I work on Toyotas, I've touched everything, you know what I mean? And it's really like the meme says, you kind of break it down, and they're all quirks. They're all a piece of shit in one way or another. But Toyota is just a much less stinky piece of shit that will last you for your life and your child's life if you just keep oil and water in it and keep things going. So yeah, that being said, primarily what my thing is diagnostic and electrical tech. Okay, I can help you with like, obviously like solid axle stuff. That's all pretty elementary. I've been through that. I can do gear setups. I can do tranny builds, the dual transfer case stuff, like e-locker mods, any of that stuff. Basically anything that you can think of. I may or may not know. If you have questions that I can't answer, I definitely will find you the answer. I will do all I can to get your problem solved. That's the other thing, talking about like the internet and resources and stuff that's available online. I don't know if it's like an anomaly that the internet just like works differently for me, or like 99% of the people don't understand how to like use a search engine and use the resources that are available online for finding problems or finding parts and things of that nature. But that's another thing that I feel I'm pretty good at as well, is being able to just get the information to help solve the problems, okay? And that being said, I may or may not be able to help you with your problem. That's just kind of how things go sometimes. Maybe like out of my wheelhouse, it may just be a completely bizarre problem. But I will absolutely do all I can to help you get your problem fixed. All right, guys, so that being said, I just want to kind of give you a heads up of what we've been doing, what's been going on, why things haven't been going on, and what's going to be going on in the future. So, like I said, if you aren't already, please subscribe, like, comment. I'd like to read your comments on the things that you would like to see, or questions that you have, things in the future, anything like that would be awesome. Please check out the website. We'll put it on here, www.snaleracing.com, and that is just a very simple website. Like I said, talks about kind of like what I'm doing there, and gives you your price breakdowns on like your time slots. And I can either do a regular phone call, video phone call, we can just text to get through your problems. Okay, so like I said, I'm available here on YouTube, I'm available on Instagram, I'm available on Facebook, or just directly through email or phone. So I try to, you know, because not everybody's got the same thing. There's people who don't actually do social media or want to mess with it, and I can help those people as well. So I honestly spend most of my time, I do a lot of tech time on ihatemud.com. So you can catch me up over there. I'm not Snale Racing there, but I am over there as Gnob. So you can catch me up over there. And I guess that's it, you know. I mean, just like I said, I wanted to get you guys caught up. I appreciate everybody who's kind of like stuck with us for the last year. I know there really hasn't been a bunch of like updates or anything going on, but we, you know, I mean, the reality is we kind of went through a major life change, so we've been getting adjusted to that and making sure that our kind of bases are covered here so we can continue moving forward. All right, so that basically like kind of gives you the gist of what we've been doing here. Like I said, we're just trying to get our feet wet, get kind of like immigrated into the culture here. I would love to hear from you. I would love to be able to help you finish your project. I would love to be able to help you get through difficult troubleshooting or diagnostic issues that you're having with your Toyota truck 4Runner. And that's kind of where I'm at too. Like my range of years is going to be like first gen Toyota truck 79 to 83, all the way up through 95, all the way up through like first gen Tacoma, third gen 4Runner, T100, some Tundra stuff. I'm experienced with the V8s, obviously not so much with the 4-liter, but again, it's all just nuts and bolts and wires. Okay, so I'm pretty confident that pretty much whatever problem you're having, I can help you with. Okay, so like, subscribe, please check out the website, www.snaleracing.com. Hit me up on YouTube, hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. The links are available, you can check me out. The links are all on the website, all on the Instagram. I believe the links are also in the Facebook. But like I said, you're probably not going to get as much traffic on Facebook just because it's just, Facebook sucks ass. But that being said, I appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe. Peace.